The popular image of a Viking is almost always a bloodthirsty brute, charging into battle while wearing a massive, horned helmet. This image is a complete fiction. Those horns were actually the invention of a costume designer for an 1876 opera by Richard Wagner. While ornate masked helmets did exist in the region, they were ceremonial artifacts from the Bronze Age or Vendel period, created centuries before the first Viking raid. Our modern understanding of the Norsemen is largely a 19th century romantic fantasy. To see the reality of their success, we have to look at the archaeological evidence left in the dirt. In reality, iron was incredibly expensive. Most warriors fought in plain leather caps or simple padded headgear, which cost far less than a metal helmet and was easier to maintain. We have only ever recovered one nearly complete Viking Age helmet, the Geirmundbu find. It is a strictly functional iron cap with a spectacle guard to protect the eyes and nose, devoid of any horns or decorative wings. While their war gear was utilitarian, their medical practices were unexpectedly sophisticated. Excavations in Sweden revealed the Norse were performing complex therapeutic dentistry. Archaeologists found teeth where individuals had filed grooves into their front incisors as identity markers, and molars with holes carefully drilled into the pulp to drain infections and release pain. Performing these precise procedures required specific understanding of anatomy and hygiene. This technical skill contradicts the idea of the Norse as mindless, unwashed savages. This organization was reflected in their social hierarchy, which was divided into three clear classes: the noble jarls, the free farmers known as carls, and the enslaved thralls who performed the bulk of the hard labor. By the 9th century, Scandinavia was facing a crisis of land and population. Because inheritance laws favored the firstborn son, a massive demographic of younger carls was left with no property and no way to build a future. To find the wealth and land they were denied, these men turned to a masterwork of engineering that provided the technological means to expand. The longship was built for speed and surprise. Its draft was so shallow that it could navigate up narrow rivers to strike inland settlements that had no reason to expect a naval attack. But for migration and trade, they used the Nar. This ship featured a much wider, deeper hull, specifically designed to carry massive quantities of livestock and goods across the open ocean. Armed with these ships, landless farmers were able to move outward and secure the resources they lacked in Scandinavia. The resulting Viking Age was an era of mobility, driven by a pragmatic need for new property and economic opportunity. This mobility allowed the Norse to establish a network of outposts that stretched across the Atlantic, reaching all the way to North America. At L'Anse aux Meadows in modern Canada, archaeologists found a specialized logistics base. This wasn't a farming colony, but a site designed for ship repair and as a staging point for extracting resources from the surrounding territory. In Greenland, they established treacherous settlements primarily to manage a different resource, walrus ivory. At the time, this was a high-value luxury product that allowed the Greenland Norse to stay connected to European markets. These settlements were the nodes of a complex logistical empire. The Norse operated as global entrepreneurs, managing resource extraction monopolies and trade networks functioning across entire oceans. Their resilience was tested in the 13th century with the arrival of the Little Ice Age. Plummeting temperatures and erratic weather drastically shortened growing seasons, making traditional farming in Greenland impossible. The climate crisis was worsened by an economic crash. As cheaper ivory from African elephants and Russian walruses flooded Europe, the Greenland settlers lost their primary source of income. Bone isotope analysis shows how hard they fought to adapt. This chart visualizes a massive shift in their diet. As their farms failed, the Norse moved almost entirely to marine hunting to survive. Despite this flexibility, the compounding pressure of a freezing climate and a broken economy eventually forced them to leave. By the 1450s, the Greenland settlements were abandoned. The Norse legacy is one of brilliant engineering and immense resilience. They were global traders and adaptable survivors, but their story is a reminder that even the most innovative societies have limits when the environment shifts against them.